Hey folks, this is JR here, and I'm going to be showing you my tanking spec by request. So this is a spec I used recently in Iron Tombs Expert Tier 1. It worked fairly well. I have really no complaints about its longevity or survivability. So basically, it's a 44 Paladin, 22 Warlord. It's pretty unconventional. I really like 44 Paladin because of this impassable guard here. I use that quite frequently, and I can use it two to three times in trash pulls. This is phenomenal because I can basically just keep up everything and also do a fair amount of damage myself. And by keeping up everything, I mean I can keep up my Call of Entrench and Call of Battle. I rotate those on a macro that I have on F1. So I go down to my shouts here. Okay. Basically, I call to entrench first, and then I use Call of Battle. What this does is it gives me a 5% reduction of damage for the whole party, and also basically a spell power and attack power increase. I rotate those and keep them up at all times. Well, I try to. it's kind of hard to remember all the time, but I typically will just use those only, and occasionally, if I have an area effect pull, I will use Scales of Justice. You can also make sure to use Impassable Guard before you use this Call to Entrench, the Shout macro, because with this talent here, a 25% chance to block. 25% chance each block increases your attack points by 1. And with this up, you're going to be pretty much guaranteed 3 points constantly. You have so many points, you will probably not use them all. Typically, that's the way it goes for me. So for me, my personal preference is if, especially for AOE fights, trash basically, I go in. I use my macro for my AoE. It is this one right here. These are my Paladin's Reprisal as a reactive off the block. I use my Cracking Skulls, which is from the Warlord tree. It's an AoE, and these are 2 reactives. And then the main attack, I do keep up aggressive block even with my AoE. I have it in my macro just because it makes it easier to use, and Judgment and Sweeping Strikes, and I can pretty much run into a group, charge in, bam, and get off enough AoE to almost guarantee that I have aggro on everything I hit. It's not common that I will not pull aggro on something I hit immediately, and have it permanently. Then once this is done, once this macro goes gray because Sweeping Strikes has been used, that's why I use it, because then I know that the macro is done. Then I go into my single target, and the single target uses this ability called Light's Decree, which basically makes every single target attack the next 5 enemies nearest him and hit for 141 life damage each time. And you will see that thing just ticking off. It is great and insanely good damage, but it's also major threat. So I don't lose AoE threat pretty much at all. And then with this Impassable Guard up, and these calls to entrench, and then this River Protection, if I ever need it, it's always up. I also make sure I use Empowering Strike whenever it's off cooldown. This increases your own armor by 505, and it's pretty good. Also, if I need to pull something immediately off somebody, I will Empowering Strike them because it's a guaranteed high threat. I don't have to worry about using any of my macro commands for it. I just want to hit it and get it off. So my tanking main does have Pacifying Strike in it as well, and also Shield Throw. Shield Throw I keep it high up in the macro instead of my last, because I do want that in my rotation against boss fights and stuff like that. So I just constantly use it for them. And if somebody's a far distance away, it will default to that and hit them and bring them to wardy. I used to have Light's Decree in that macro, but I just didn't. It's still there. Never mind to keep it there. So Light's Decree will go off after that, and then continue on the AOE. So I don't have to actually cast it if I don't want to. But there are times where I do use it. So just when the situation calls for it, I use it. Yeah, so this is the setup I use, and I used it for the entire, like I said, entire Tier 1 expert, and it was perfectly fine. No issues. I do have a fourth spot that I have not purchased, and I will be making a more caster-based build. Probably going with Void Knight a lot more. Well, definitely going with Void Knight a lot more. But I still do have this right here, which is 9% reduction from damaging spells. And this right here, which is a buff, 5% absorb magic. So what that's 14% right there of just absorb automatically without having to worry about anything else. So I do, keep I do keep enough damage off me, I think, for trash and for other stuff. Maybe if I get into raids or if I get into intensive fights where I'm fighting a boss, a name that's really serious, I will intentionally go to a Void Knight build for him. But at this point, I haven't seen a reason to do so. I like this build. I pull aggro, I hold aggro, and I'm hard to kill. So for me, that's pretty much what I think it's supposed to be. I used to be Reaver until they nerfed it. I never was 100% this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my playtime. This is actually what I had first, the 44 or 22 Warlord, and I had this actually. My PvE DPS build was actually my Reaver build, and I would switch between them. I was still learning what I wanted to do and my playstyle. So now it's just if I ever need to go Paragon, I can go Paragon, and because that's my preferred DPS spec for a dungeon is Paragon. I think this is a really good build for it, for my use and my testing. All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually head to out of town, and show you the spec in action. I'm not really sure how good it's gonna be because I'm solo, so I'm not really sure how it's gonna work out, but we'll see. Okay, so I teleported to Stillmore. I wasn't really sure which way to go, but I went to Stillmore. Let's see how. Wow, I'm having weird lag here for some reason. Let's see how I do as far as not getting ganked, because this place is, again, it's just terrible for it. So we'll see how that goes. This is an elite. I can solo this in the DPS tank build. I can solo it pretty well, actually, and pretty easily. So I want to give it a try in this build and see how that goes. Make sure that you use imposing whenever you feel like you're going to need to pull aggro off of somebody, or whenever you need to go into a group and solidly pull aggro without a chance of failing. To make sure that you do not basically lose aggro. Because some bosses will just one-shot your party. So so this is the fight. I've already buffed up. Let's go ahead and let's see how this goes. I'll show you what I do. So I basically I don't have any points right now, so I charge in, and then I use number 2, and I make sure I don't keep people at your back. Make sure you're walking backwards, pulling the group together into a group. Into a big ball, so that everybody's in front of you and nobody's behind you to your sides, because that way you can block everything. So I'll show you what I mean here. Two macro, there we go, off right there, and that actually will stun everybody too. Powers your prizes. So there you go. Keep up your shouts and continue your macro until it's done. It's done now, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep up my shouts there, using number 3, which is the AoE macro. Right, and then I use that again because it's up there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my passable guard, which is I'm just blocking everything now. That's pretty crazy. Alright, so continue using that macro there. Use my number 2 macro, do more AoE damage. I'm probably going to have to use my keep up your shouts. I have to use my full heal because obviously I'm going to die if I don't. I wasn't fast enough. So yeah, this is a tanking build. It's not a DPS build. So that's basically how you do it, though. You just use number 2 when it's on cooldown. You'll see just like that it went on cooldown. Then I started using the main build, which has the Light's Decree macro, so I can hit everybody around. Once it comes off cooldown, reuse it, and then go back. I actually did not put up Empowering Strike, which was a mistake because I'm trying to think too hard through this. Another thing to mention is if I'm fighting bosses. So let's say I'm fighting this guy here. He's a boss, right? So let's buff up real quick here. Bosses, I use this guy because it's 5% extra to hit until I figure out what the hit cap is. I guess I could look it up, but I haven't. So let's say I'm fighting a boss. I tend to use this. I rarely ever use this Righteous Blow, and actually on my other tank, I have it set to here. So what I do is I will pull, right? I mean, I have a boss, so I'm fighting a boss, and say I'm fighting a boss right now. I have everything up, I have all my buffs up, and I have nothing else to really use. I will use this Spotter's Order, and it basically makes my group do more damage to the boss, and I can keep it up almost indefinitely. I can almost always keep that buff up on the debuff on the target, so that they're always and everything's off cooldown. So they're always hitting for, which I think it's pretty high at this level. It's actually plus 43, plus 27. So it's that's a pretty substantial amount of damage that everybody's going to be getting in addition to. So that's basically as simple as it is. It's a very easy build. I don't really have any issues tanking it with it. I wish I would have recorded the. I wish I would have. We basically my guild has a person who heals and does not like to heal, and prefers not to heal. So I guess we have to. It's pretty tough to get somebody to heal. So we wiped a lot, and I didn't want to just keep recording every single one until we got it, and it was tough. Some bosses we one-shot, other bosses took us like 3 or 4 times, so it's it's just how it goes. Alright, well that's pretty much how it goes. Just make sure you keep your buffs up. Whenever you need some defense, you put your Impassable Guard up. Whenever you need some more defense, you put your Absorb up, which also is your whole group. Use your Spotter's Order whenever you need to. Try to keep up your Empowering Strike. You can stun single target mobs, which is really nice, and also your Warlords, your Sergeant's Order to pull mobs to you. So if you're in a group where you're fighting a caster, you can pull a second caster to you. It's really nice to do that as well. And this is your obviously your other spells that you all should know. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. Okay. So if you guys have any more questions or anything else, just let me know. So thanks. Appreciate it.